Welcome back to Fave for Fans, the podcast all about our favorite things. I'm your batastic host, Jamie Ray, and today I am absolutely thrilled once again to have Joey O back on the show. Now, you'll know Joey from a couple of other episodes, some that includes The Simpsons, Mystery Science Theater, some fun stuff. But today we are going to be talking about our favorite episodes from Batman the Animated Series. Welcome back to the Batcave, sir.
Thank you for having me once again, Jamie.
You're very welcome. So, gotta ask real quick, why did you want to do Batman the Animated Series?
Well, Simpsons is my favorite show of all time, and I usually say Batman the Animated Series is my second favorite show of all time.
Okay, okay.
I love Batman the Animated Series. Huge fan from day one. I remember, I do you want me to go back in time to the beginning of this series and everything right now? Yeah. So Batman the Animated Series was put into production after the success of the Tim Burton movie in '89, and it was timed. It came out a couple months after Batman Returns in '92. And I remember that summer I visited my friend Chris in Indiana, and we saw Batman Returns in the theater. His parents took us to see it, and then that year he had. Do you remember Prodigy,
Oh,
the online system? Like it was a
oh
competitor to
yeah,
AOL.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. We used Prodigy, and like for the first time ever, and I learned like a little bit about this new Batman cartoon that was coming out that year, and I was so psyched. And then there was like one of those like comic shop news, like free newspapers from the comic
yeah,
store that had an article about the cast and everything, and I like kept that and like read over that. I was so psyched for the show, very excited.
yeah.
And I watched it from day one, from on Leather Wings, aired in prime time, and just I've seen these episodes so many times. It's the perfect version of Batman, the perfect,
Okay,
rendition
strong
of him,
words.
of the character of Bruce. There's empathy to him that like a lot of people love, like like edgelord Batman that punches crime in the face. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I love this Batman who cares and tries to help people and tries to see the best in everyone, even the rogues gallery.
yeah,
And I love Kevin Conroy's performance. Just everything about this has been one of my favorite shows for, 33 years. So,
yeah. It's pretty doggone amazing. That
mhm.
is for sure. The amount of people that worked and guest starred on this show, going through it just really, really blew me away. And I am super excited to talk about these. So I think if you're ready, I'm ready. We can just jump right in.
Cool. A lot of information that's up here. Also, I'll give a few little things I want to say to get started. One, a lot of what I've learned comes from there was a Batman the Animated podcast about like maybe a decade or so ago that ran. Um, it was just called Batman the Animated Podcast, run by a guy named Justin Michael, who works in the entertainment and animation and improv world out in LA. And because he was in that world, he got a lot of guests. He got a lot of the actors, the
Oh,
writers,
wow.
the producers, and got a lot of great like behind the scenes stories. And I listened to every episode of that show when it came out. It hasn't been around for a while, but I learned so much from that. I also have over here. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's up here. Um, my copy of this incredible book. It's called Batman Animated. It's way out of print,
Yeah.
but it's got all sorts of sketches and behind the scenes stuff, storyboards. I got this back when it came out in the late '90s, and the late Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, when I met him at Wizard World years ago, what did I want him to sign? It was this. So my
Uh,
copy is signed by Kevin Conroy.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love
Yeah, he
this.
was a great guy. I got to meet him a couple of times. Uh,
I also want to note that a lot of my love for the show also comes from the fact that two of my closest friends from high school and I memorized so many of these episodes and have been quoting them to each other for 3 decades. Like every time we get together, there's so many quotes that are just like in our brains, in our vocabulary. So a
yeah.
lot of this episode I want to dedicate to Danny and Harry because I wouldn't love all of these if it wasn't for the two of them and that we quote them and drive people nuts with them.
All right. That sounds great.
All right. So I
So,
picked five honorable mentions. I'll go through them really quick. I know you prefer two.
Prefer no, I don't prefer them. It's in the rules. Okay. So at first it's Mark, then it's Judy, and now it's you. I just don't know what my guests are just like running the asylum now. But you know what? I'm okay with it. Go ahead.
Also, we don't count Mask the Phantasm because that's not an episode, that's a movie, but it is a great, great movie. So
Yes, it
much.
is.
Okay, so my honorable mentions really quick in alphabetical order. I'll just put them in alphabetical order.
Okay.
Harley's Holiday, which is the episode where Harley gets to go out on. She's declared sane and has a day on the town. Heart of Ice, which is the origin of Mr. Freeze, written by Paul Dini, that won them an Emmy. Riddler's Reform, where Riddler tries to go straight, but he can't help himself. Two-Face, which is the origin episode of Two-Face, which is actually a two-parter, of course.
Okay, of
And
course.
What is Reality, which is the Riddler episode where he traps Batman in a virtual reality game, which is the
And is
second.
that the one where when Batman comes out, the Riddler wasn't in the game? It was all just in Bat for Batman's sake?
Kind of. It's one where it's all just very like early 90s like computer graphics. It's like
Oh, no,
red
that's
and
not this one
black
then.
graphics.
Yeah, no, that's not
Yeah.
this one. There's another one where he gets trapped in something.
It's a maze.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's not this episode.
Okay.
So, okay.
Anyway, really quick, that's the honorable mentions.
All right. Well, I have two honorable mentions. One, two. Um, First up is Baby Doll from season
Ooh.
two. This episode features Mary Louise Dahl, Dahl, which is always clever, a former child actress whose rare condition left her trapped in a child's body. Years later, she becomes unhinged and kidnaps her former co-stars out of jealousy and resentment. What makes this episode really special is how it explores themes of lost innocence and the dark side of fame. Some people just, it's like a drug, they can't get away from it. And it's kind of cool because Batman and Robin are in this episode, and as they race to save the hostages, you're going to see some kind of fun stuff. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that Skipper and Gilligan are two of her hooligans, though they don't call them that. And at the end, when it's the birthday party, all I could think of was the birthday party for the chimp in Nope, because it was
Oh.
definitely giving those vibes out. Everybody's invited, but nobody can leave. But it's a fun episode. And again, like you were saying, how he really shows how he cares for people. At the end, she breaks down, and he's compassionate for her.
Mhm.
Um, so the other honorable mention is also from season one. This is Beware the Gray Ghost. I thought this episode was really cool. It's particularly meta because it features Simon Trent, an aging actor, playing a superhero called the Gray Ghost on TV. When a series of bombings mirror the plots from the old TV show, Batman, who as Bruce Wayne was a huge fan, go to seek to get his help. And the fun thing is that Simon Trent is voiced by Adam West. So it's definitely an homage to the Batman TV series from '66. Um, it, it's a really beautiful episode in that you do see that Bruce, when he's not being Batman, is a normal person. I mean, here he is fanboying over the Gray Ghost when he's Bruce, but when he's Batman, he's all business. And I just really enjoyed it, and it's like a love letter to the actors who portrayed Batman and all of the villains over the years. Um, so those are my two. All right, on to the main event. Joey O, give us your number five.
Number five, out of the darkness comes the
The
gray
Gray
ghost.
Ghost. We got a match.
Yeah, my number five is Beware the Gray Ghost. I love that episode. Like you said, it's a love letter to Batman 66, to Adam West, Simon Trent. He's been typecast for years. He can't get any jobs acting because everyone just pictures him as the Gray Ghost.
Right.
It's also a tribute to the Shadow. The Gray Ghost has a lot of the Shadow in him.
Yes, definitely.
The actual villain, the Mad Bomber, is Bruce Timm. He's supposed to look like him, and it's also him playing him. So
Oh,
that's a little
really?
Easter egg. Yeah, it's kind of like a dig at like one of the co-creators of the show.
I did not know that.
Yes. So it's sort of making fun of him for being a toy collector while he's also the voice of the character. But yeah, it's so lovely. The last scene, it's one of the best moments that Kevin Conroy ever had as Batman. Spoiler for the end of an episode from 30 plus years ago. But he basically like Bruce Wayne outs himself as Batman to Simon Trent because he goes to an autograph signing to get his new box set of VHS episodes of The Gray Ghost autographed, and says like, when I was a kid, I would watch The Gray Ghost with my father, and he was my hero, and he still is. And then he's like, "Is that so?" So he
Yeah.
kind of like, gives him a wink, like that was me that said that to you earlier in the episode.
it
So it's so wonderful. Adam
it
West is
is.
wonderful in it. It's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
And then I went back and watched it, I think after Adam West passed away, maybe I went back and pulled that episode out, or
Hmm.
when Kevin Conroy passed away. I know I watched it a few years ago for one of them, just because I
Yeah.
wanted to see it again.
Yeah.
The
I
theme to the Grey
actually
Ghost,
watched.
his actual theme music is great too.
Yeah. I actually watched all of these once I got my
Oh,
list down. So they're
wow.
they're kind of fresh in my mind. And again, it
Okay.
was really because there are so many things that I enjoy. Scripted shows like this, um, I don't get to watch a lot because I actually watch a lot of movies. And to go back and watch it, I probably watched 20 or 25
Oh,
episodes
wow.
of these to get it down to these seven, which is five plus two honorable mentions, in case you're counting. Um, but that's a great number five. My number five is a fun episode called Almost Got 'Em. And this episode is structured like a poker game where Joker, Killer Croc, Penguin, Two Face, and Poison Ivy all share stories about their times when they nearly defeated Batman. And it's brilliant because we get multiple villains and the perspectives and the action sequences, and each one of them feels a little different the way that the villain is setting his stuff up. Plus, there's a great twist at the end with Catwoman. And the episode itself draws inspiration from some of the classic Batman comics, including we find the origin of the giant penny that goes into the Batcave. And I don't know, it was a lot of fun. Again, I loved seeing it from each of the different episodes and the bar slash poker hall that they're playing on. When the jig is finally up, Batman's just like standing outside through the window, and they're all like, but fun episode. Later on, the stories would become a little bit more complex, and then you get the Bat family involved in them with the new adventures of Batman. I believe it's called the new Batman Adventures, um, which pretty seamlessly went from just Batman to Batman and Robin, and then to the family. So it's a great show, and this was one of my fifth favorite episode.
Yeah.
So
I didn't pick any of the latter ones. The animation, the last seasons they changed the animation up. They made it simpler, made it
yeah,
easier to animate. And it moved around. It was like the new Batman and Robin adventures, or they twisted the title around a little bit, made it
yeah,
kind of match the Superman adventures that were on then, the Superman the animated series.
right,
I didn't pick any of those. Some of those I like. There's a lot of good episodes. There's, like people love Over the Edge, but yeah, some of the animation, some of the redesigns I like, some of them I don't. I don't like beady-eyed Joker, for
uh-huh.
example. He has no whites of his eyes anymore. Some of them didn't really
It's all
change.
that
Like
Joker
Harley
gas he's
almost
been
is the
doing.
same.
Yeah. Or however it
But
goes.
well, speaking of Harleen Quinzel, my number
Uh-huh.
four episode
Look at
is
that smooth
Harley and Ivy.
transition. You got
What?
that radio voice going.
My number four episode is Harley and Ivy.
Okay.
This is so much fun. It's an episode that really fleshes out the character of Harley Quinn. You really see like it really sets up the like abusive boyfriend aspect of the Joker with her. He kicks her out, and she moves in with Harley. And they go on kind of a roaring rampage of revenge.
Yeah.
It has one of the all-time great Mark Hamill Joker lines. Harley, where's my socks?
I
Um,
actually watched that one. That was on my short list.
ah, yeah, it's so great. Um, it has something very important that Paul Dini sets up in this one for the character forever. Like in the early 90s, you couldn't just flat out, have said like, oh, these Harley and Ivy are bisexual and they're in a relationship together. Like the only reference that is this episode does it in sort of like a cheeky, like wink wink manner, because
Right.
like, hey, look what we're getting away with on kids' TV in 1992 kind of way. But now, 30 years
Oh,
later, that's like the basis for that whole Harley Quinn show on
yeah.
I almost said ESPN, on
No,
HBO.
HBO. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love
Like
that show.
that's a key element of both
Yeah,
characters. That's like a defining characteristic for both of them. And it
exactly.
comes from like what they could like quote unquote get away with on kids' TV in the early 90s. And now it's like that's just who they are to a whole generation.
Yeah.
So a lot of
Yeah.
it comes from this episode, Harley and Ivy, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good, Joker stuff in it. Batman, is sort of just bouncing off the two of them a little, but it's really just Harley and Ivy really defining those characters really well,
Yeah.
and some of Paul Dini's best work. I'm a huge fan of Paul Dini from
Oh, he does
his
some
whole,
amazing work. Yeah.
yeah, from his whole career. From I mean, Batman the animated series is the high point, but like he worked on Tiny Toons a lot. His career goes back to like, man, do you remember? This is a total like tangent, just Paul Dini fanboy stuff, but so the He-Man action figures. They
Uh-huh.
came with little comic books. Do you remember
Oh, okay.
that? Yeah.
I'd actually never gotten them.
Okay.
But
They came
yeah.
with like little comics that told you about the characters. And
Okay.
Paul Dini and Bruce Timm were two of the people that created those little comic books. And Paul wrote a
Really?
lot of like the character Bible for like the Masters of the Universe characters for the cartoon. And he
Wow.
like worked his way through like every 80s animated series. He wrote like one episode of G.I. Joe, one episode of Transformers. Like he was one of the writers on the Ewoks cartoon, I think. And just like
You won't
bounced
hold that
around the
against him.
animation industry until he like really hit it with Tiny Toons, and then springboarded from Tiny Toons to Batman. And from there he's just done everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of Harley, before we move on, that's one thing we've got to say. And of course, if you're, Batman the animated series, you probably know this, but this is where Harley Quinn came from. She was created just for this show. And like you said, now, I mean, it's patchwork. She's all over the DC world. And so that's again some of the influence that this show had.
Oh, absolutely. She's one of their biggest characters. I love Margot Robbie's
Yeah.
performance. She's so great in those movies. I loved Birds of Prey is such a fun movie. They just gave it a dumb title, and it had bad timing that it came out a month before the pandemic. But
Yeah.
it was the last movie I saw in the theater for like, until we could go see stuff again.
Yeah. And one of the cool things is Kelly Cuoco is doing the voice of Harley Quinn on the HBO show. I think she does a great job, and I like the fact that they didn't get Margot Robbie, or maybe they couldn't get Margot Robbie, but she gives it a kind of a different feel, and it also makes you kind of embrace the fact that it's not in our universe, that
Mhm.
it's in a slightly different one. So anyway, I think that's good. So if you're watching this, go out and watch that. It's a lot of good.
Yeah, I mean, it's all going back to Arleen Sorkin, who Harley was
Mhm.
based on, who was
Yeah.
friends with Paul, and it was based off an episode of whatever Guiding Light, whatever soap opera she was on at the time.
Okay.
So
I
there's
didn't know. I got to meet her and Kevin before at a show in Dallas.
oh, nice.
This was back in the day before you had to pay for taking pictures with people. So like I got a picture with them, my kids got a picture with them. They were both super sweet.
I saw
Um,
Kevin. I got a picture with Kevin and his autograph the first time, but I saw him at like two other conventions, I think, over the
uh,
years. And he was such a ham. Like I'll go on a tangent about how great Kevin Conroy is now. Or, he passed away a few years ago, but what a guy. He had such a career. He came up in like, Juilliard, I believe. he was
Oh,
a
okay.
peer with like Robin Williams,
Oh, wow.
like, and Christopher Reeve there at the same time, maybe, or maybe it was a little earlier. But anyway, yeah, he went to, like serious drama school. He was a serious theater actor,
Ah,
like, and that's where he came from. But he was also, a closeted gay man in the 80s working in theater and hit a lot of roadblocks with that, trying to break into Hollywood and audition for Batman. And that was, the next phase of his career. And he became just a very, outspoken person about like, hey, this is what my life was like. There's a comic you can find. I think DC put it online for free after he passed away about that he wrote about his life and about being in the 80s and like seeing friends and colleagues pass away from AIDS. Like
uh-huh.
it's a really powerful short story, short comic that Kevin Conroy did a while
Well, we'll
back
try
that
to get
I
the address and put it in the show notes.
yeah, it's hopefully DC kept it online, but it was in like a DC like one shot years ago.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, cool. Well, even though you have a certain disdain for the new Batman adventures, my number four is going to have to be Beware the Creeper. Now,
Ooh.
I know a lot of people hate on the Creeper because they say it's kind of like, always just a poor man's a Joker, and all the. I really enjoyed it, and maybe it's because while Joker's great, he's never really been one of my favorite villains. So this episode introduces Jack Ryder and his transformation into the Creeper. Uh, he is a news reporter, and he's doing a story on the anniversary of the Joker's first appearance at the Ajax Chemical Company, and he ends up going and getting put into the same chemicals, but also some other stuff. I think he had the Joker gas sprayed on him, and then he went in. So it makes him a completely different type of Joker. Um, and he actually gets like some superpowers from the whole transition. And the psychological aspect of whether he truly wants to be cured adds like a lot of depth to the character, because at the end of the episode, Bruce is able to come up with basically a patch, and all Jack has to do is wear the patch, and he won't become the Creeper again. And after Batman leaves, or Bruce leaves, he's like, and goes to start to pick at it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of fun because he's not a villain. He's more of an anti-hero, and with a fabulous wardrobe. So,
I was just looking
what
who
did you think
played.
of that episode?
That's a fun episode. I was trying to remember who played the Creeper. It's Jeff Bennett, who's a veteran voice actor who's done it. Oh, he was Johnny Bravo.
Oh,
Yes. And I know he's done a lot of like Looney Tunes type stuff over the
mhm.
years, but he's been in everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was the
it's a fun
Creeper.
episode. I love it.
But that's
Uh,
a fun episode. The Creeper is a fun character.
yeah. All right. Well, let's hear your number three.
My number three is my favorite Joker episode, really. It's Joker's Favor.
Okay.
This is actually the episode that introduces Harley Quinn. It's her very first appearance. She gets to make a joke about serving Bullock a subpoena. It was a small subpoena. And they got away with that joke on TV. But no, I love Joker's Favor is one where it's about Charlie Collins, who is played by Ed Begley Jr.,
Okay.
an average guy who gets in sort of a road rage incident, and then he realizes the guy that he gets in the road rage incident with is the Joker, and the Joker runs him off the road and like tracks him down in the woods and steals his license, and he's like, "I'm gonna, you're gonna do a favor for me. What is it? I haven't thought of it yet." So Charlie Collins changes his name, takes his family, moves out of Gotham, going to like witness protection, basically. And, a couple of years later, the Joker calls him because he's been watching him all these years. Of course, he didn't. He followed him and knew that he changed his name and moved. So he brings him back to Gotham, and his favor is he wants him to come to this it's the a party for Commissioner Gordon. He's getting an award, and the Joker's gonna blow up the place and kill all the cops and Commissioner Gordon. But Harley's inside of a giant cake, and he needs Charlie to open the door to let the cake in. He's like, "Oh, well, look at that size of that cake, man! She can't open the door herself." So, but of course, Charlie finds out his hand is glued to the door, so he's
Oh,
gonna get blown up with the cops too. And Batman
hate when
saves
that happens.
him, and there's a whole to do at the end, and he's scared. The Joker thinks that Charlie's gonna kill him, and he gets Batman to laugh. Like you hear Batman in his cowl go ha ha ha
Oh,
because Charlie puts one over on the Joker in the end of the episode.
that's awesome.
So
I
it's
love
so
that
much
Fave
fun.
episode.
It's also Charlie has his own like motif, his own theme music that plays this little whistling music that plays through the whole episode because every episode Shirley Walker's music is incredible. They had a full real orchestra and yeah, so I love Joker's Favor. It's very quotable, it's very fun. It's a great Joker episode.
Oh, awesome. I dig that. And, like I said, the Joker's great. Mark Hamill, is an incredibly talented voice actor. He's done a lot with that character and others. But I'm going to have to go a completely different route for night number three. And I am once again going to dip into the new Batman Adventures season with an episode called Over the Edge.
Ah.
And as soon as I watched this movie, I didn't remember this episode at all. And when it started, and it starts, bam, like right into it. Things have gone horribly wrong. Batgirl is dead. At the police commissioner, everybody's after Bruce, and they know who he is. This story is a masterpiece in storytelling. Now, you may not like the animation, that's okay, but the way that this story is like it throws you into it and you have no idea what's going on. So, after Barbara Gordon's death, Commissioner Gordon just basically does an all-out war toward Batman. And they know that he's Bruce Wayne. So all of the people that he loves, all the people he cares about, they can't help him. Uh, Wayne Manor gets raided and blown up in different places. And you're like, wow, how can this happen? Is this how they're going to end this show? And no, they're not, because then you find out that Barbara Gordon wakes up and it's all been a fear toxin induced nightmare. And just it really goes into deep with her about her dual identity, and she sits down to have a talk with her dad, which I thought was really, really cool. But again, for 22, 23 minutes, oh my God, they give you so much in that episode. And like I said, when I watched it, I knew right away it was going to jump to that list.
Yeah, that episode is incredible. It is also written by Paul Dini, and
Ah,
I'm a big Batgirl fan, but I didn't put any of the Batgirl episodes specifically on my list, but she has some really good ones. Um, I remember the first time I saw Over the Edge. I remember, well, I think it was on Saturday mornings, and just
oh,
being like, "Oh my gosh, what is happening here?" Like you're glued to your seat the first time you see that episode. It
yeah,
is intense, and it is, yes, definitely thought of as the best of the that last season for
yeah.
sure.
I really, like I said, I really enjoyed it. And it didn't give you any idea that it wasn't what you were seeing. Like it wasn't until I believe, no, 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 you don't even finish, just to the very end. So anyway, that's a great one. Um, that's all for that episode. Um, why don't we take a break and you tell us what's going on in your world?
What's going on in my world? Well, I was on here in years past. We talked about Simpsons and MST3K, like you said. I'll replug for people who didn't hear me on those other episodes. I'm from Why Not Radio. We're an online internet modern alterna indie rock radio station based out of the Philadelphia area. We play a ton of Radiohead, Death Cab for Cutie, St. Vincent, Tegan and Sarah, the Yeah Yeahs, Garbage, Nine Inch Nails. I could just name 50 more bands, but that's
I
sort of the
know four of
gist.
those.
That was
I
what?
know
You know,
four of
four of
those.
those. I could, yeah, just name a zillion bands that we play, but we play a mix of like the big name ones, the big heavy hitters of that world, and then try and introduce you a lot of younger, newer, and up and coming bands and newer artists.
Oh,
Um, and that's what we try and do. We play music 24/7. We're on the internet at whynotradio.net. Yeah, I'm trying to pull up our playlist and just give an example. Yeah, because you might hear new artists like you're going to hear David Byrne and the Hives, and you might hear artists like Japanese Breakfast, the Beths, Wet Leg for sure, Wolf
oh, Wet
Alice,
Leg.
Wet Leg.
Wow, I have no idea who that is.
Well, you should find out
Sorry,
because they're great.
Wet Leg. And I could find
So,
out at Why Not Radio.
yes. My friends and I do a pop culture talk show every few months called Words with Nerds, which lets us just ramble about this kind of stuff. We talk about the last, couple months of movies and TV shows that we're seeing. We'll preview any conventions coming through town,
Hmm.
any other random stuff. We've done interviews for that show in the past. I've interviewed a handful of my favorite voice actors in the past for it, and some other folks. So that's all archived on our website as well. So yeah, I'm actually this weekend there's a convention I got a press pass for, so I'm going
Cool.
to cover it and we'll be posting about it on social media. It's the people who do GalaxyCon are doing
Oh,
it's called Animate Philly, and
okay.
there's a convention center in the suburbs that's like 25 minutes away from me, 20 minutes away from me. And John DiMaggio from Futurama is going to
Yeah.
be there. Tara Strong, who took over the role of Batgirl, actually in that episode, she was Batgirl. It was originally Melissa
Oh,
Gilbert
great.
from Little House on the Prairie
Melissa
was
Gilbert?
Batgirl in the first seasons,
Oh,
and
oh
then
yeah.
it was Tara Strong after her. So she'll be there. And it's a lot of animation focus. Some of it's a lot of like newer stuff. Like there's like just shows that are, after my time. But there's enough
Yeah.
people there that I'm like, oh, cool. If I can get a press pass for this, I want to go see John DiMaggio like in my own backyard, tell Bender stories.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun.
That should be fun. Well, we can't wait to see it. And again, where do people go? How spell it out for us?
It's Why Not Radio, YNOT radio.net.
Okay, and you can see
And
us
you can find us.
right there. You can go
Yes.
right to it because
And it
I
can be
magically added it and posted.
whynotradio.net/nerds if you want to find all our Words with Nerds content. And
Okay,
we're on all the socials.
we'll do it. All right. Well, you good?
Yeah, let's talk about your favorite word.
It's our penultimate choices. Somebody sent me a picture. Gosh, who was it? Anyway, um, it was a news article that talked about the penultimate of something, and
I
they're like, "Hey, they're
tweeted you
stealing
something.
your
Maybe it was
gig."
me.
Was that you?
I know I tweeted you something where like a
Yeah,
sportscaster used the
yeah, you
word
did.
penultimate. I'm like, they're stealing your gimmick.
They're doing my guess, stealing it. Yeah. Uh, but let's get to it. What is your second favorite episode?
My second favorite episode is Almost Got Him.
Oh, really? Well, of
It's
course, it is such a good episode.
It's another wonderful written by Paul Dini episode. It lays out all the characters so well. The twist, I mean, we can spoil the twist. Again, it's 30
Sure.
years old. But yeah, the best line in it is when they're all going around and like, "Oh, Killer Croc, what's your story?" He's like, "I threw a rock at him." And then the camera pans around all of the other rogues at the table, and the Joker is giving this like withering look, like, "What?" And then Croc mumbles, "It was a big rock." But the twist that you find out a few minutes later is that it's not Killer Croc, it's
Nope.
Batman in a Killer Croc disguise
Yeah.
who's there because he's trying to get intel on where Catwoman is because Joker kidnapped her. She's at a factory somewhere with Harley, like
Yeah.
holding her
How many
hostage.
damn joke buzzer place factories did they have in Gotham?
There's a lot. It
Oh,
also has, oh, that's one where the Penguin's like, "Oh, he was in my aviary of doom," and everyone looks around and is like, "My big bird house." Paul Williams as the Penguin is wonderful.
wonderful.
Paul
Oh
Williams is
man.
such a fascinating person. He was
Oh
supposed to be at
yeah.
a convention here a couple of months ago, but he had like a health thing or something he had to cancel at the very last minute.
Oh, wow. That sucks.
What a fascinating career that man has had, though.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Phantom of the Park?
Phantom of the
Uh,
Paradise?
Phantom of Paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he wrote one of the greatest songs ever, The Rainbow Connection, and he's the
Right.
Penguin.
I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah.
The guy's great. I think, was he in that movie, that bad movie called The Apple, where it takes place like in a future New York and I don't know.
It
He's
might
been in
have. He
some
was a
wild
child
stuff.
actor. He was like
Yeah.
a game show standby, like before I
But
was born.
was it I think he was in Smokey and the Bandit.
Maybe, yeah, I think he was. I
I
watched a
think
documentary about it a couple years ago. That it was
yeah.
interesting. I didn't really love the
Wow.
format of the documentary, but it was interesting to learn more about him.
That's very cool. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't associate that with him. Um, well,
But
okay.
yeah,
Well, for
almost
my
got him. My
yeah,
number,
almost got
my
it. It's a great one.
penultimate episode.
Yeah. So for mine, you've already actually brought it up. And it is the two-part episode from season one called Feet of Clay.
Ooh,
But interestingly, it's FEAT, not FEFETA, and it's the origin of Clayface. It's tragic and compelling. Matt Hagen has literally transformed by his desperation and his vanity, and this episode explores the themes of identity and what makes us human, and it's phenomenal. Uh, the interesting thing about this, like I said earlier, was that watching this episode, you really kind of have to wonder, is he a villain or is he just been pushed to the ends? Because he becomes Clayface not of his own choice, but he's been using some cream to like make him look better on screen, and they basically dunk him in it, and it makes him lose cohesion, and he becomes Clayface. Um, then you go forward to the episodes of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and you have another great performance of Clayface. As he wants, that's the whole thing. He wants to go back into acting. He thinks he plays James Gunn. He plays, all kinds of different people. And then coming to the comic that I've been reading, they actually have developed some like wristbands that he can wear because he's losing the cohesion of his body. And they go into this big discussion about the fact that um, when he is Clayface, his brain has kind of morphed, and the centers that control his aggression and his decision making are basically shut off. So that's why when he's Clayface, anything goes. But then when he's able to transform back into himself, he has control over it and has regret, but he can't stay because as long as he's in that form, he has like these massive migraines.
hmm.
And every time he changes, it's breaking down his DNA a little bit more and a little bit more. So after watching this, which I loved right away, I just thought it was great. And then reading the comics, it's like, man, this guy has so many levels to him. But it's a great episode. And like I said, there's so many different versions of him that this is great. But enough about that. We are
Well,
now at our favorite, our number one Batman the Animated Series episode, and I'm ready for yours.
except I want to say something about Feet of Clay really quick. Is
Okay.
that the animation in that episode is some of the best in the entire series. When he's
Yes.
morphing, when he's like changing. There's a scene that I think I remember the first time I saw it where he like envelops Batman. Batman shoots his grappling hook out of Clayface's head
Yeah.
and like pulls himself out through the top of Clayface. That is some of the best animation in the entire series.
Yeah. And it's really cool how they make it um like he's a big person made out of clay,
Hmm.
because when he turns around and forms, like there's where he forms himself into Lucius Fox. I mean, not
Hmm.
Lucius Fox, um, Bruce Wayne to
Hmm.
attack Lucius Fox. It is impeccable, and you can't tell it's not him. but then when he's in this other shape, it's like it's alive. So no, excellent point.
Yeah, that and you mentioned the comics. There's a current comic that's running for it's only this year, it's only 12 issues. It's Mark Waid and Chris Samnee, who are one of my all-time favorite comics creative teams, are doing Batman and Robin Year One.
Okay.
So it's like the first year after Bruce has adopted Dick,
Okay.
and it's definitely got the Batman the Animated Series feel, and Clayface is a big part of it too. They're doing a version of Clayface where it's really a really cool take on him, and there's some of the covers they did with Clayface are awesome. But I'm a huge fan of Chris Samnee as an artist. He's done Daredevil, Black Widow, Captain America, but this Batman book is great, so I highly recommend that. It's just about to end, like in a month or two.
Well, cool.
Okay, so my
Um,
number one episode. Here we go.
is I'm
This
ready.
ties back to something I said at the very beginning. So, my best friend from high school, Danny, his favorite character of all time, the Riddler. So that's why I had two Riddler and honorable mentions. And that's why my number one episode is If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? The origin episode of The Riddler. Because
Okay.
partly because those three episodes we watched and we taped them off TV in high school because we were cool and watched them over and over and we quote them all the time. If we're playing board games or anything, there's so many lines from these episodes we just throw into conversation
Yeah.
constantly.
Now, who
But
did the
if you're
voice of the Riddler?
hmm?
Was
Who's the
the
voice of the
voice of the
Riddler?
Riddler? It was
It's
a John
John
Aston?
Glover.
John Glover. Okay.
Yeah. Who you know as Lionel Luthor. He's in Batman and Robin. He was in oh he's Donald Clamp in Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
He's in Scrooged as well. He's been in everything.
Yeah.
Great character
Yeah.
actor.
He really
But
is.
he's so smooth as the Riddler. So if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? Here's a fact about this that I learned from Batman the Animated Podcast. So the guy who wrote this episode, I want to look up his name, wrote David Wise. David Wise wrote the original Ninja Turtles animated miniseries in the mid
Okay.
late 80s. So he was the one that adopted it for the original 5-part episode. And basically everything that's in those episodes that you know and love about the Turtles that didn't come from the comics came from him.
Really?
Cowabunga, loving pizza, maybe skateboarding, Bebop and Rocksteady, a lot of that stuff he came up with. Did he get any royalties or credit or any money for that? What do you think?
I'm thinking no.
No. The origin of the Riddler in this is that he was a video game developer who gets screwed out of the company and doesn't get his royalties or his recognition for this video game that made his boss millions of dollars.
Uh,
So, yeah, he was kind of drawn from real life there, it turned
yeah,
out.
a
So
little bit.
yeah, I learned that from Batman the Animated Podcast because they had him on and they were like, I'm not gonna say that, but I'm kind of gonna say that. Sort of like he let the host say that, and he's like, "Well, you said
Right.
it, not me," kind of
Yeah.
situation. So that's
I'm
how I
not
remember that episode.
disagreeing, but I'm also not agreeing.
Yeah, exactly. So I love this episode. There's so much stuff we quote in it. This is the one where Batman's in a giant maze. They build the maze. It's the riddle of the Minotaur maze. And
Okay.
the hand of fate flies down, and that's the one where it ends with he's like, I'm not even in the maze. He like Riddler's on a plane out of Gotham while they're like all running around the maze being attacked by robots. And there's a lot of clever riddles. The writers always said it was hard to write for the Riddler just because they had like a high bar to set. They didn't want it to just be like dumb puns. They didn't want it to be
Yeah.
Frank Gorshin giggling. They wanted to have actual like riddles and thought to it. So you get stuff in this one like when is the Minotaur's owner as high as an elephant's eye? When Mockridge is in the maze. Because as high as an elephant's eye is a reference to corn from Oklahoma, which they don't actually explain. Batman says it's an old song lyric before your time.
Oh God.
So you have to there's that, there's puns, there's like there's a bit of everything. It's such a great episode. The hand of fate that flies around. It's you're not allowed to tamper with the hand of fate. Yeah, it's very quotable, at least amongst me and my friends. The Super Nintendo Batman animated video game had a Riddler level based off this episode
Oh
that I
really?
had when I was in high school. Um, Yeah, I just it was gonna have to be. At one point I was like, I can't put all three of those Riddler episodes in my top five just because we quoted them a lot. I have to pick one of them. I'll go with the first one.
There you
So
go.
yeah, it's if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? Which is
Why
what
aren't you
Daniel
rich?
Mockridge says to the
So,
Riddler.
they go back and he tells his story, or is it just we see his story?
We see his story. At the beginning is
Okay.
when he get like the episode starts with him getting like fired, like he gets to his office and
Oh,
like
okay.
my
Okay.
name's not on my office door. And then it like cuts to like 5 years later, the video game company is being sold to Wayne Enterprises.
Yeah.
And then it like all happens in Gotham and
I
there's the
got you.
maze and all
Okay.
that stuff.
Okay. Cool.
I
I
did
haven't seen
rewatch
that
that
one.
one over the weekend. I'm like, if this is gonna be my number one, I definitely want to rewatch it right before we do the podcast.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna watch that one. I haven't, so I'll have to see it. Uh, okay, well, my number one you've already talked about briefly,
uh-oh.
and I'm surprised that it was only an honorable mention, even though there's so many good episodes. But from season one, I picked Heart of Ice, and this episode completely reinvents, Mr. Freeze, Dr. Freeze, as a character. It transforms him into just one of the most tragic, um just you want to feel so bad for him because he has been wronged in so many ways, and now he's stuck in this suit, um and it's all because he loves his wife. It's all because he wants to help cure her. And so it talks about Victor and his wife Nora, and you go into their backstory where he was working. It's just these evil corporations. I think that's what the main villain in Batman is.
It's
Um,
also the evil villain is Mark Hamill.
oh, okay,
Ferris
the guy
Boyle, I
running the
think
company.
it's because again more of this stuff, but he was cast as he wanted to be on the show because he was such a Batman fan. Like I'll play anyone, I don't care. He was
Yeah,
cast in Heart of Ice as the evil corporate guy, and
Ferris
then
Boyle.
Tim Curry was originally the Joker, and then they
Oh,
recast the Joker,
okay.
and that's when they brought back Mark Hamill, and he redid the episodes that Tim Curry had already recorded.
Did they ever put out a Tim Curry?
There's like a few clips floating around online, but not many.
Uh-huh.
Like they didn't finish them. I've read different reasons why they recast him, but they just
Yeah.
weren't feeling what he was doing, I think.
Did you hear them?
I don't know if
Like,
I ever have actually.
I actually wonder how that would go.
This was like not long after there was a show on when I was a kid, right around the same time, Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates, and
Yes.
Tim Curry was Captain Hook. So
Okay.
I was guessing it wasn't that far off, but it was Tim Curry doing, like a odds, bods, hammer and tongs, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Dozens me.
Well, I really, like I said, I really, really enjoyed this. And like you mentioned earlier, it's an episode that won a daytime Emmy. And it's just a
Hmm.
perfect example, as far as I'm concerned, of how Batman the Animated Series really elevated superhero storytelling. Because as we know, after this, there was Superman the Animated Series, there was the Justice League, then Justice League Unlimited, and then more and more Static X. All of these,
Batman Beyond is great.
yeah. Oh God, Batman Beyond so good again, with the future Joker as Mark Hamill. So good. But um, this just set the bar so high that it's very hard to even get close to some of these episodes.
Yeah.
Um,
When I was a kid, just animation just leveled up in the late 80s and early 90s. You went from like, I mean, as much as I love G.I. Joe and Transformers, it went from that, and then you got the Disney stuff. The DuckTales was a little higher caliber of writing and acting, and then a few years later we had Tiny Toons, and then Fox rolled out Batman and Animaniacs came after that. Gargoyles was
Animaniacs,
around then. X-Men also debuted a couple months after
92,
Batman,
right?
actually, so it was on at the same time, and just the quality of
97.
animation in America
Yeah,
just kept going up and up
yeah.
in that era.
I can't disagree, man. This is the way to do it. All right, and there you have it, folks. Our five favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series. Joey, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and make this list. I'm sorry I made you go back and watch Batman episodes.
I mean, I can talk about the, as you can tell, I can talk about this show all night. I could talk about the other actors, about the some of the other, writers and producers and what they did. It's one of my areas of expertise.
Well, if you'd like, how about we work our favorite other characters? So not Batman, not the good guys, but our favorite like villains or guest superheroes in it from
Ooh,
all these seasons.
ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. And then you could
Yeah.
definitely tell some stories about the characters,
Fake
the actors
Harley. No.
behind them. Yeah.
There's
And
there's an episode. It's one of the later ones. It's Joker's Millions, which is kind of like the plot of, Brewster's Millions,
yeah.
the movie. It's kind of like that. I think Joker, like, he gets a casino, but it's like, oh, it's a scam somehow. And he
Oh,
and he like kicked out Harley, so he hires a bunch of like random other henchwomen, one of which
yeah.
is supposed to look like, it's supposed to be Paul Dini dressed like Harley, but there's a girl who's a Harley Quinn, and he just calls her fake Harley,
Yeah.
and she calls him Mr. G the whole time. Fake Harley.
That's some good his
Tangent.
it's some good stuff for sure. So listeners out there, were there some that we missed? Are there some of your favorites that we didn't even talk about? Go ahead and come on to social media. Let us know. You can go find us on X. You can find us on Instagram. You're on Blue Sky too, right?
I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at I'm gonna DJ 24.
Okay. All right. And let us know. So use the hashtag Fave5 from fans, and we'll give you a shout out in the next episode.
Hmm.
And there you have it, folks. Our 5 favorite Batman the Animated Series. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed diving in to today's walk through our young adulthood. Uh, if this episode resonated with you, here's how you can help us to reach other people. Go onto one of these streaming services, leave us a review, give us that important 5-star review. If you go to YouTube, give us the like and subscribe, and it messes with that Skynet algorithm thing, and more people will find out about us. Um, Also, find us on the social medias. At the end of the episode, we're going to have all of Joey's places to find him, and it'll be in the show notes. And just really want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of the Plastic Microphone Studios family. Speaking of which, head on over to X and Instagram to follow at PM Studios Pod to explore more great content from shows like the Average Home Theater Reviews, Red Dog Terrain, The Sequel House, and many more. And folks, don't forget, new episodes come out every Friday.
Almost every Friday. Most Fridays.
Nah, can't go anywhere. So be sure to subscribe and follow us so you can catch all of the new episodes. And remember, folks, it may not be the best, it may not be the most popular, but if it's your favorite, then that's good enough for us. Thanks so much for joining us. Joyo, take us to the Batcave.
Oh wait, that's the other That's Batman 66. Sorry.
Atomic engines to full thrust.
Good
Good
night, everybody.
night.